ABC Sports proudly presents Game 3 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
The Tennessee Volunteers, the 1998 national champions. Nebraska won the national title in 94, 95, and 97. Two of the most successful and storied programs in all of college football. And they've come to the desert tonight to meet on the field where they won this sport's top prize. The Huskers roll into Tempe wearing the Big 12 crown and flaunting one of the fiercest, fastest defenses in all of college football. Tennessee is lightning fast and licking its chops to play on the field where it beat Florida State. T. Martin, 22-2 as a starter, almost flawless, engineering a balanced attack. The last two national champions are about to start the new millennium.
While Ernie Davis and Jim Brown conjure visions of Syracuse excellence past, the name Donovan McNabb can now be permanently etched in the orange list of legend.
Play of the ball game. Across the lane, the tight end, Brominski.
Florida returns to the Orange Bowl for the first time since its fiery leader played his last collegiate game. Seeking an SEC milestone, they come armed with a defense that's unrelenting and still pack an offensive arsenal that can strike at any time with swift precision. It's Syracuse and Florida in the 65th annual FedEx Orange Bowl Classic.
ABC Sports proudly presents Game 2 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
Schools of tradition. Michigan, the winningest program of the past century. Hail to Bowl, the victors in the maize and blue. Alabama, the Bear, the All-Americans, the pride of the South. The dawning of a new century brings fresh faces and new heroes. The Wolverines unleash a passing attack that set new standards and still can lay the rugged groundwork that says Michigan. From Musso to Humphrey, Alabama's had a legacy of great running backs, but none better than the SEC Player of the Year, the one who dons the crimson for a final time tonight. Alabama and Michigan set to light up the nights in Miami at the 66th FedEx Orange Bowl.
This is ABC Sports, home of the Bowl Championship Series.
The college football season has come down to 3 days and 4 bowls. Thursday in primetime, the national title will be decided in the Rose Bowl presented by AT&T. Since 1983, the Miami Hurricanes and Nebraska Cornhuskers have combined for 7 national championships. Denied a shot at the title a year ago, the undefeated Canes are on a mission to finish their season perfect. The Huskers have stumbled, but now boast the Heisman Trophy winner and are 1 win from their 4th national championship. At 8 Eastern tomorrow, it's the FedEx Orange Bowl, as this year's Cinderella, the Maryland Terrapins, meet the pass-happy Florida Gators in a classic David versus Goliath matchup. In primetime tonight, we head to the Big Easy for the Nokia Sugar Bowl, where the hometown LSU Tigers of the SEC host the Big Ten Conference champion, Illinois. Coming up next, we kick off our BCS coverage with the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, where the Pac-10 champion Oregon Ducks and the Colorado Buffaloes, who stampeded their way into the national spotlight, collide in what they hope will be a share of the national championship. This year's national title has come down to 3 days and 4 games of the Bowl Championship Series.
ABC Sports proudly presents Game 1 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
Colorado deserves to be called the hottest team in college football. The Buffaloes finished the season with inspired performances. They're as subtle as a thundering herd. Playing Nebraska on the Friday after Thanksgiving, they shocked the college football universe. Coach Gary Barnett's team scored 4 touchdowns before the Nebraska coaches could adjust the volume on their headsets. When running back Chris Brown scored his 6th touchdown, the party began in Boulder. The 62 points tore a hole in the Nebraska record book. The herd then rolled into Dallas for the Big 12 championship against favored Texas.
it was more of the same. The Buffaloes defense forced 4 Longhorn turnovers. For Barnett, the Gatorade tasted like champagne. Oregon quarterback Joey Harrington is Colorado's next challenge. He has already played Broadway with his likeness reproduced on a New York skyscraper. But Harrington is much more than billboard hype. 10 times in his great career, Joey has led Oregon to comeback victories in the 4th quarter. And because of him, the Ducks will not back down.
1 game left, and we're here to prove we belong among the nation's best.
For the winner, perhaps a piece of the national championship. You are looking live at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona.
Those fancy Turtles face a Gator team whose All-American quarterback opens the game on the Florida bench. Ralph Friedgen's maiden voyage helped the Terps leap from their shells to an ACC title. But tonight, the waters will be full of Gators, and the skies over Miami full of passes. The story for Maryland is feel good against a Florida team that's real good. Terps and the Gators in the FedEx Orange Bowl next.
ABC Sports proudly presents exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
During the next 3 days, the nation's elite programs and marquee players will compete in the Bowl Championship Series. Friday night in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl National Championship game, #1 Miami, behind Heisman finalists Willis McGahee and Ken Dorsey, look to extend their 34-game winning streak against #2 ranked 13-0 Ohio State. A Hurricanes win would secure their standing as one of the greatest dynasties the sport has ever seen. Tomorrow night in the FedEx Orange Bowl, it's the Heisman Trophy winner, USC's Carson Palmer, against Heisman Trophy runner-up, Iowa's Brad Banks. It's a classic Big Ten, Pac-10 matchup, but this time the co-champions from each conference meet in South Florida. Later tonight in the Nokia Sugar Bowl, the Georgia Bulldogs make their long-anticipated return to New Orleans. Their opponent, ACC champion Florida State, and their legendary leader, Bobby Bowden. But we begin the BCS with the Rose Bowl game presented by PlayStation 2, which for the first time welcomes Oklahoma. Laying in wait for the Sooner invasion is Washington State's record-setting quarterback, Jason Gesser. It's West Coast finesse against Big 12 brawn in the granddaddy of all bowl games. 4 games, 3 days, 2 undefeated teams, 1 national champion.
ABC Sports proudly presents Game 1 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
A little less than a month ago in this very stadium, a battered and bruised Washington State quarterback Jason Gesser showed the country how special he was, turning in a courageous performance against UCLA and earning Washington State a trip to the Rose Bowl. That game symbolized Gesser's college career. Painful injuries could not stop him from shredding the school record book. But today, the Washington State signal caller and his high-flying offense will be looking down the teeth of one of the country's hardest-hitting defenses. The Oklahoma Sooners are writing another chapter to their storied history by making their first Rose Bowl appearance. The Sooners arrive in Pasadena armed with a pair of defensive All-Americans in Tommy Harris and Teddy Lehman, cut for the same mold of Leroy Selman and Brian Bosworth. This attacking Sooner defense will be put to the test by a Cougar aerial assault, hoping for their first Rose Bowl victory in 87 years. Offensively, the Sooners turn to their elusive playmaker, Quentin Griffin, whose breakaway speed and tough inside running could give the Washington State defensive front fits all day. Today, in the granddaddy of all bowl games, it is the Pac-10 versus the Big 12 as Oklahoma and Washington State meet for all the roses.
The Washington State
ABC Sports proudly presents Game 2 in our exclusive coverage of the Bowl Championship Series.
20 years ago, the Georgia Bulldogs, led by legendary coach Vince Dooley and eventual Heisman Trophy winner Herschel Walker, made a return to the Sugar Bowl. They came with a #1 ranking and as defending national champions. That same year, Bobby Bowden led his Florida State Seminoles to a Gator Bowl win. And on that rainy night began a record streak of consecutive bowl appearances that continues this evening. Across the field tonight, facing his longtime mentor, is Georgia head coach Mark Richt. A Bobby Bowden disciple, he leads Georgia to its first Sugar Bowl appearance in 2 decades. The offense is led by a terrific trio: quarterback David Green, tailback Musa Smith, and wide receiver Terrence Edwards. The duo of Boss Bailey and David Pollock are the leaders of a dog defense that punished SEC offenses on a weekly basis. For the Florida State Seminoles, it's been a season of ups and downs. The kick on the way. He missed it. Wide left. Tonight, Florida State comes to the Louisiana Superdome without some of their usual weapons, but they still have an explosive offense led by wide receiver Anquan Bolden and are ready with a full bag of tricks. Tonight, it's the champions of the SEC, the Georgia Bulldogs, against the champions of the ACC, the Florida State Seminoles, in the 69th Nokia Sugar Bowl. Outside the Louisiana Superdome, it's been a long wait for the Dogs.
ABC Sports proudly presents exclusive coverage of the national championship game of the Bowl Championship Series.
In its existence, the Bowl Championship Series has never failed to deliver an undisputed national champion. But no season has been quite like this one, with USC already staking its claim to a share.
I think we just won the national championship.
And now, every team except 2 have been measured this bowl season. Oklahoma and LSU move center stage, determined to state their case for a championship. And throughout the season, the Oklahoma Sooners pillaged all comers. They scored more than 50 points in 7 games, and they were favorably compared with the greatest of all time. But then came the Big 12 championship game. Kansas State exploded the myth. And for an entire month, Heisman-winning quarterback Jason White has lived with this bitter taste.
That feeling was horrible. We don't want it to happen again. It's do or die for us.
The LSU Tigers storm into New Orleans, riding a 7-game winning streak. The Tigers dominated Georgia in the SEC championship game with big plays and a smash-mouth defense. Coach Nick Saban built this powerhouse around speed and a relentless bump-and-run blitzkrieg.
We don't play DB like this. We don't play bump and run like this. You got to have balance and body control.
Every game played, every inch of turf battled for has led to this showdown between Oklahoma and LSU for the BCS National Championship. You are looking live at the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans for the
ABC Sports Championship Television.
We ring in the new year with a Cinderella story. A Longhorn stampede out west and the defending champs against the best of the Big Ten. In a primetime fiesta, the undefeated Utah Utes, the first mid-major to crash the BCS, look to celebrate their dream season with a win over the Pittsburgh Panthers, champions of the Big East. Later today in the Rose Bowl game, the Longhorns of Texas, led by hard-charging senior Cedric Benson, make their BCS debut in the granddaddy of them all. Their opponent, the co-Big champion Michigan Wolverines, led by a pair of party-crashing freshmen. But up next on the dance card is the Capital One Bowl, where the Nick Saban-built defending national champion LSU Tigers battle the other co-Big Ten champions, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and their hard-hitting defense led by senior Matt Rock. Get ready to pop the champagne, because the greatest New Year's Day tradition of them all, a triple header of college football on ABC Sports, is about to begin.
John, thanks very much, and a Happy New Year to you.
ABC Sports proudly presents exclusive coverage of the national championship game. It's the grand finale of the Bowl Championship Series.
The royalty of college football is in assembly at the Rose Bowl 2006. Bush, Leonard, Young, and their legion. By consensus, the teams rank 1 and 2, with nary a whisper of dissent. The site for this ultimate showdown in college football is one of the famed arenas of sport, the Rose Bowl, where the festival of postseason play was started more than 100 years ago. in the city of Pasadena, California. When the 2005 college football season started, all 117 Division I-A teams had high hopes this would be their year. Now 2 are standing unbeaten. One, the 2-time defending national champions and determined to stay there.
Touchdown, USA!
The other, wanting to bring it back after a 35-season absence. The Southern California Trojans found out about life in the catbird seat quickly, week after week taking the best shot from each opponent. And they beat back the challenges.
And FC is right back in a Van Liner has scored, and the Trojans will win the ball game.
In the second week of the season, Texas walked into the horseshoe for the first time against the Ohio State Buckeyes. It was a raging battle, but the Longhorns pulled it out, and the rest of the season passed without a serious threat.
Say goodnight to this touchdown, Vince Young. The route is underway.
And now there is just one game left. One game that will be as big as a college football game can be. The Southern California Trojans and the Texas Longhorns for the national championship tonight on ABC Sports. The weather is perfect. The field is fast at the Rose Bowl for tonight's ball game. This telecast available on ABC in high definition by DLP Picture Technology. Hello again, everybody. A Happy New Year to you. Keep